How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I haven't posted in a long time. Don't worry, I haven't quit Clash Royale. I've just been focusing on different aspects. So I've been streaming on Twitch. I've been posting on Twitter and Instagram. I'll post all those in the description, so go check me out over there for more frequent Swood. But today we're going to be doing a video actually on a deck tier list that me and a friend made, Tom Royale, we made for March. So we went over on Twitter and it was posted over there. Here's his Twitter if you want to follow him. But so we went and made a list of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 decks in the current meta. Obviously, we're not going to put all the variations, so like I have RG Lightning down here, but there is still an RG Fireball deck that's very good and stuff like that. So we didn't put all the variations, but we tried to put like the main deck, and we obviously left out a few decks because it's always changing, but this is the list that we went up with. So start off, Lava Hound right now, very strong. There is the clone deck at the top, and there's just a regular poison deck. It used to be Hound Miner, but everyone took out the Miner for Lumberjack, and it actually works really well without a Miner. So you play that Hound deck, you play similar to kind of just a beat down like Golem deck or whatnot. You don't need the actual Loon or Miner to break through with it. That Hound Clone deck, it is very, very popular. It's sort of promoting rock, paper, scissors in the current meta, unfortunately. What happens is decks with poison typically beat it, and decks without poison lose to it. So it creates kind of rock, paper, scissors, which is annoying, but that's kind of why a lot of the other decks are popular, like that Hound deck, like the P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider deck you see right there, both of those, and like the Royal Hogs, all those decks with poison, they're kind of there because of Hound Clone. So I'm not sure if that deck's here to stay, but it's definitely viable right now and it's very strong. You'll basically get a 3 crown, or it'll be a close match and you might lose if they have poison. Next up, Giant E-Dragon. This is another giant triple spell deck. It's the one that Bosse actually made popular, another Twitch streamer. So this is a deck that he was using, and a lot of other people have actually started using it, and it does pretty well in the current meta. What we did when we looked through this list was obviously just our own experience, plus we went on Royale API, a great website, and we checked like top decks there based on win rate, based on popularity, and also based on just past 20 hours who was getting 12 wins with what decks. So that's kind of where we made this list, if anyone's wondering. Now this P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider deck, I actually think is probably one of the best decks in the game right now. Personal opinion, I've been watching a lot of pro brackets, just scouting for CRL, and everyone's playing this deck. It is very strong. So if you are a bridge spam type of player, you've played like Hog, Mortar, Bridge Spam, or Logbait, all those kind of like aggressive archetypes, P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider is probably going to be a good deck for you, as long as you're not trying to compete in like max ladder with level 2 Ram Rider, something like that. And obviously Expo, Royal Giant, both really strong. There's a couple different Expo variants right now. There is Expo Rocket with NATO. There is there's an Expo Pump deck right now with Barbs, because Barbs got the buff. That's like a fireball bait kind of. It's Tesla, Pump, Barbs. That's an interesting one. And then there's also some Inferno Tower variations going around, like that one guy showed on Clash channel. If anyone checks out that new video, because Inferno Tower, there's a lot. If you look through this list, there's a lot of Snowball. There's not as much Zap, and there's not a ton of E-Wiz, so or Lightning. So Inferno Tower is actually doing pretty well in this meta, just based on the fact that a lot of people don't have a reset, so that helps out a lot. And there's a surprise factor with Inferno Tower, so it's good for now. I'm not sure if it's better than 2.9, but it's kind of 50-50 on what players are actually playing. And lastly, just the Royal Hogs deck. It's good fireball bait with the Barbarians now dying to fireball. You have the Fly Machine, the Barbs, the Royal Hogs, and there's other variations that are using like Zappies and Magic Archer, just more fireball bait cards. It's kind of like a swarmy fireball bait. So that's the tier 1 decks that we thought of. And going to tier 2, we have Golem. There's a lot of people playing Golem. Also, they play it with Hunter instead of Baby Dragon, which I don't really agree with. But anyways, Golem triple spell. There's also a Prince variation. Golem's not the greatest right now, but there is a lot of people using it and having success with it, especially because of that Hound Clone deck. The poison and triple spell is really helping. You have 2 small spells to deal with like the Skarmy and Bats, and you also have poison to deal with the clone and whatnot. 2.6 Hog. Fair warning, Hog Rider is, or 2.6 Hog, it is the most popular deck in the game, and it has one of the lowest win rates. It is a very hard deck, very high skill cap deck. So the fact that you have Ice Spirit, Skeletons, Ice Golem, you don't have like a huge DPS killer like a P.E.K.K.A, so you're having to do lots of micro transactions, and you really need to be, or micro interactions, and you really need to be on top and getting value out of your Skeletons and Ice Spirit and whatnot. So it's great to practice mechanics with like 2.9 and 2.6 Hog, but if you aren't at the top of your game, it's really going to cost you a lot of matches. So I see a lot of people trying to learn 2.6 Hog. You just need to be wary of the fact that it is one of the highest skill cap decks in the game. Even a player like me, I'm playing it now kind of just to help you guys out, but I'm still miles away from how good the top players like Lucas Gamer and Jack are with the deck. They are insane with the deck. I can't compare to how good they are. Even though I've played Hog in the past and I play like 2.9 Expo, so I know how to play the Skeletons and whatnot, but it's just, they're on a whole other level. So beware when you're playing 2.6 Hog. If you do have a Hog deck for ladder, my recommendation is just play whatever your highest levels are for Hog, like Hog Fireball. Obviously, like, recommend leveling up like Ice Golem, Fireball Log. Musketeer is good now with the buff, but other than that, it's like pick your greatest cards. Like if you have a Mega Minion, use that. If you have Tombstone, you can use that, stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to play 2.6, but it is probably one of the stronger Hog variants. And secondly, we put Expo Rocket there. I already talked about that one. Mega Knight Round Rider, and actually, at the time of this video, let me quickly. Yeah, so I have Mega Knight Miner. Also talk about that. I put it in tier 3. Over the past couple of days, we made this list a couple days ago. I was late to making the video. Mega Knight Miner and Mega Knight Round Rider, they're actually becoming more and more popular in the meta. So if you have experience playing those decks, it's definitely going to be a deck that you can pick up again and start playing in the tournament, like the competitive scene for global tourneys or for challenges and whatnot. I'm not sure necessarily why, honestly, that Mega Knight's coming back into the meta. I'm kind of confused. I think it might be because of Royal Hogs, but I don't really know. So Mega Knight, Round Rider, Mega Knight, Royal Hogs, Mega Knight Miner are all popular decks right now. So if you like Mega Knight, it's a good time to play that. And here's just another variation of Royal Giant. This is like the splash version. It's been done with both Fireball and Lightning, but it's basically Tombstone, Ice NATO. And then Mortar with Rascals or Prince. There's two variations. Even though it didn't get a huge nerf, well, actually, changed my mind. It got the Bats and Goblin Gang and all those cards, and the Rascals, they all got a deploy time nerf, so there's actually a pretty big nerf to the Mortar, along with decks like Royal Giant still being very popular, so, and Expo getting a buff. So Royal Giant went down from being one of the most OP decks to, I think it's being a tier 2 deck, personally. When we went through and looked at all the decks, nobody was playing Mortar. Even though last month everyone was complaining about it. So I think Mortar's fairly balanced, and I don't think they need to nerf it, but I think it's still tier 2 and it can be used. There's a lot of players who, it's one of the aggressive archetypes. Like I mentioned earlier, there's Logbait, Mortar, Hog, and Bridge Spam. So if you're very good at those aggressive archetypes and you're able to pressure, you will do well with Mortar Zapping. But if you're more of like a beatdown, control, or siege player where you play passively, so basically anything else, Golem, Expo, Mega Knight Miner, P.E.K.K.A Miner, Graveyard, Giant, Royal Giant, etc. Those decks are more based on making good trades, building up a push. So it's not about pressuring as much, where decks like Mortar and Bridge Spam, they're going to be playing cards at the bridge, counting cards and counting elixir to know where to pressure. So just be aware about that if you want to play one of those aggressive archetypes. It does take a different kind of mindset. If you're not used to it, it's going to be very hard to adapt to. Moving on to tier 3, we have the Happy Noob Hog Exinato deck. It actually does pretty well in this meta with Exinato. A lot of people just don't really expect it, so if you don't want to play the 2.6 Hog, this is another variation you can try. Personally, my preference over Exinato is Ice NATO, so when I was playing Hog Rider, I was playing Hog. I'll make the deck after, but actually I'll make it right now in Clash. It was like Hog, Ice Wiz NATO with Tombstone. And generally you want to be playing Fireball over Poison with Hog decks. Sometimes you can play Poison, but the thing is you want to be playing Fireball because it's more instant. So if you're trying to, with the aggressive decks like I talked about, Bridge Spam and Hog and Mortar, you want to be playing cards that can impact right away so that your cards can get through and get damage. If you play like a Poison, it's not going to do as much over time. So that's something to worry about. I believe this was a deck. I'm not sure if it had 4 spells or 3. Where's the Ice Wizard? This is the deck I was using. Actually, I think it had Ice Spirit for the small spell. I'm not 100%, but like I was using a deck similar to this when I was playing Hog because I didn't really like Exinado. So that's another option you can play. Now there's also Bridge Spam, lots of different variations. There's this Prince variation, there's a Ram Rider one, and there's also like old school. Actually, I probably wouldn't recommend old school Bridge Spam. I would recommend either one of the new Ram Rider Bridge Spams, or personally like the P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider that was played on the first, or it was in Tier 1. But this is another variation that is pretty popular, so wanted to put on here for Tier 3. It's other decks in the meta that aren't as good in our opinion. P.E.K.K.A. Ram got nerfed. Obviously, I think the Ram Rider is better right now. Minor Exinado Loon is a deck that other people have been playing. Similar to 2.6 and 2.9, it has very weak defense. This one doesn't even have a Musketeer. It has Ice or Exinado. So this one I wouldn't recommend if you aren't a Loon player already. But it is a deck that some players are playing in the current meta, so I wanted to include it here. Oh, and lastly, here's the Expo Pump deck I was talking about. So a lot of people are having fun with this deck. I'm actually going to experiment with this deck probably. So that is what we put on for the current deck list, or deck tier list in March 2019. We did this about the first week in, so it's about 7 days after the balance changes. We might end up doing this twice a month and kind of go over a recap of the entire meta at the end of the month before they change balances. Depending what you guys think, let me know. So we're going to be posting these on both my YouTube channel, where you're seeing this right now, and also on our Twitters. My Twitter is right below, and again, this is Tom's Twitter, so make sure to go follow him. It's at Tom_Royale. I'll put it in the show notes also. So those are both of the those were to follow us. And like again, I said at the start, I haven't quit at all. I'm still here. I've been just streaming, posting on Instagram, posting on Twitter. I've still been around. I was an analyst for Allegiance in CRL, if anyone's wondering, and Allegiance has left the game, so going into Season 2, I'm a free agent. I'm probably going to be signing with another team in CRL West as an analyst again, most likely. So once those announcements actually come out, I will probably be sending an announcement tweet out soon after of where I end up signing. So stay tuned for that on probably most likely Twitter, but if you follow me on the other ones, you'll probably hear about it also. So hope everyone enjoyed this video. Welcome back to YouTube. I'm not sure how much I'm actually going to be posting on here. Current plan with this series is maybe once or twice a month, but I'm going to try, and don't hold me to this, but I'm going to shoot for trying to do a video a week if I have video ideas that I want to do. So other than deck guides, if there's anything you guys want to actually see on the YouTube channel, let me know. Give me some ideas, and if I like them, I will probably make a video about them. So that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and Swood out.